officially start the pod here. We are back for another episode of the Parisi Podcast, not with my gym as the background. We are in Waterbury, Vermont, at Mint Health. You can't see it. I can see it. It's beautiful. This is actually where I come for primary care with my PCP, Sara Headley, who will introduce herself here in a minute. But this is part one, maybe part two. I don't know. We'll do multiple.
Part 3, 4, 5.
This is
These
definitely
are fun.
part one. I don't think we're going to break this one up. It'll just be a big bang of an episode. Sara, this is awesome. I'm super stoked to do this.
So excited to be here.
This is not your first podcast. Which
It's my third.
The third. Recently, too. Like, you've done 3,
In the last month.
Yeah. I could reach you. I think I asked you literally, and you were like, November or something, October, because I just opened my practice. Like, it's so makes sense. Here's how we kick off the pod. I ask people who they are, what they do, where they do it, and then this is a no-notes podcast. People will see there's nothing in my hands. Some episodes I have the paper. Yeah, you don't know the questions. I don't think it matters for us. I think we could just make sure we have to set an alarm for the time.
We're off the cuff kind of people.
Yeah, it'll just be a total vibe conversation. That's how these go, people. The conversations are all vibes, and we just go until the vibes are done, or we get hungry, whichever happens first.
I have some bars for
I know. We'll just start eating. That'll sound real good on the audio. But let's start there. Who are you? What you do? Where you do it? And then we'll just let the conversation spiral from there.
Okay. I am Sara Headley. I'm a family nurse practitioner, a former cyclist and former pro athlete racing bikes, and now the owner of Mint Health in Waterbury, Vermont, which is a primary care practice specifically for preventative medicine, and we treat regular medical things, not any severe things, but anything that can be handled in an office, we'll do it.
It's awesome. That was easy. You got a dial.
I just made that up.
Oh, really?
Yes,
That was really good.
I literally just made that up.
That was really good.
Yeah. And if you get even deeper, I'm also a mom and have
Yes.
2 kids who are 4 and 2, and that seems also crazy to open a business like I have a 4 and 2-year-old.
Yes.
Why not?
It is. It is, especially a very intensive business.
Yes.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I always call this is a performance podcast. Like, as a personal trainer, performance coach, like, this as a primary care physician, like, it's intimate service.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you get to know someone really well on very deep levels.
Very quickly.
That you aren't necessarily, it's not, and I think when people think about going to their primary care physician, it's, you show up, you do the things, height, weight, whatever, you leave, it's 20 minutes, maybe there's a flu shot involved or something, right? And then you're out. That is not what you do, right? Like, was very apparent when I came for my new patient meeting. It's like, it's very...
Like, tell me more.
Yeah, but that's what it is. Like, you're with the doc, like, you're actually doing the thing, and it's a complete change of pace. And I mean, we'll get to a lot of things in this episode, but I would implore anyone, like, if you're not happy with your medical practitioners in your life, and we talked about, like, with other, like, even with Lindsay Distel, like, your registered dietitian, like, if it doesn't feel right, it's not right, and you should
go explore
other options.
Yeah.
So let's go way back, because you said former professional cyclist.
That is true.
This is just my own curiosity. How do you become a professional cyclist?
I can tell you.
I want to talk about, tell me, because I think we were talking, like, in today's world, like, with so much content creation, brand deals, and the way marketing is going with digital media, like, it's probably more accessible than ever, but
if you know that you could even do that.
But exactly. And I think you're from an era where, especially in America, I feel like in Europe,
cycling's more of a European sport, for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't even know cycling exists until, just like many Americans, I watched the Tour de France and Lance Armstrong was racing bikes, but I was like, didn't know anything, of course, about Lance at the time, but I thought, that is so cool. You get to race a bike in the mountains, on fields, and you have a whole team behind you. That sounds like a really cool opportunity. Not opportunity, but like a cool sport.
Yeah.
And I was always interested in fringe sports. Like, growing up, I watched the Olympics, and I would always want to see skiing or, not the usual team sports. Yeah. I was into, like, snowboarding and stuff like that. I never really gravitated towards team sports. Although I played team sports, I always wanted to do the alternative ones because That's just how my brain worked, I guess. It seemed cooler to me. And then when I got to UVM, I was a rower in college. And I specifically picked a college that had a rowing team because I knew I wanted to be a rower. How do I want to know I wanted to be a rower? It's because when I was in 4th grade, I watched Good Will Hunting, which is the best movie of all time, my favorite, hands down. And in the very opening scene of the movie, there are rowers doing their thing on the Charles. And as a 4th grader, I just knew that I had to do that one day. I don't know why that really struck in my head.
That's wild. The stuff was that long.
Yeah, it was a long time. And then I proceeded to watch Good Will Hunting many, many times through high school and knew that I had to be a rower. Don't know why, but that's what I did. So when I went to UVM, I became a rower and I loved it. It is truly how I think of myself becoming an athlete, because rowers work harder than the majority of athletes. It's the hardest sport.
You're on all the time.
It's the hardest sport in the world. And it's also everything. It's mental, it's physical, it's freezing here. Yeah. So anyway, I became a rower. In my very last year in school, a cyclist at the college approached me and found out that I was a rower and figured I would be good at racing bikes and encouraged me to try it. So I saved my money to buy a bike. I was a waiter, or I was a server in one of the restaurants in Burlington. I saved all my money from tips and I bought a bike. And then I figured I would just enter a race. And the second I entered the race, I was like, this is what I was supposed to do in life, actually. I love this so much. Why was I even a rower? I should have just been a cyclist. It just spoke to me more than anything else.
Cycling teams.
There are not here. We have a club team here at UVM especially, but no, there's some really good collegiate teams, even as close as Indiana.
I'm like thinking like
Indiana, Pennsylvania. Penn State has a huge program. On the East Coast, there aren't as many. I would say like Boston has a bunch. Actually, I lied. Boston has a bunch. UPenn, Penn State, all those schools down east, but the bigger ones are Colorado, California.
So you enter your first race. Where was it?
My first race. I was at Dartmouth. It was raining, and it was about weather like today, 50 degrees, raining. And I was just like, this is where I was meant to be. Turns out, if you fast forward, the races I tended to love the most were the ones that were freezing cold, really, really, really hard and long, and usually a race of attrition. That's where I found myself feeling the best. So
just a streak.
Yeah, really just the ones that were like, everybody else is looking around like, oh, when can I go home? I was like, I got you. This is where I think it was more of a competitive thing. I'm like, if it's hard and it's fast and it's really cold outside, I will thrive. So anyways, I started racing, and I think racing is not something that everybody gravitates towards, but usually gravitates towards it if something in your life is really hard in that moment. So when I became a bike racer, my mom was going through cancer, and she had cancer multiple times in remission. She had ovarian cancer. And so we all knew that it was likely a terminal cancer, and in her final time of getting it, her 3rd time, it wasn't going to work out. Like, we knew that it was all coming to a head. And that's when I found myself riding my bike the most. And looking back, I probably rode bikes for 10 years because I was figuring out how to manage all those feelings. And so when I became a bike racer, it was really about like finding something that made me happy and didn't make me think about sadness.
Yeah.
And so when I finished college, I moved back to Maryland to be closer to my mom and joined a club team there in Annapolis and joined a bunch of 40-plus-year-old guys, most 40-plus-year-old guys that really taught me the tricks of the trade and how do I do this and how do I stay on a wheel as hard as and fast as it may be. How do I stay? How do I not get dropped? Yeah. And so learned all those tricks from them, and then they encouraged me to race, and I thought, like, I can't race against all these women that are actually like professional. And then one time a guy I knew there proved it to me that I would be strong enough. He brought a friend who was a triathlete at the time who raced professionally, and he said, I'm going to bring her to the group ride, and I guarantee you that you'll be able to hang and you'll be fine. And I was able to hang. I was like, ooh, okay, so if I can ride with a professional triathlete very well and maybe even do potentially better than her, then I could totally race bikes professionally. And then that was it. I hired a coach. I worked with her full time. I mean, I quit my job. Well, no, I didn't quit my job initially. She told me, in order to be a pro, you have to move. You can't train full time in Maryland because there's just not the scene here for it. So I decided that I was going to train hard enough to potentially get onto a team in California. So I reached out, and eventually a man named Bill Nicely allowed me to join his team. It was an elite team. They were not professional, but they did have bikes. So I was like, sweet, I can get a nice bike that I couldn't afford on my own.
Yeah.
And I planned ahead by 4 months. I had $8,000 in my savings account. I was like, that'll be enough to move to California. And I was very much naive. So I quit my job. I got a part-time job in California working as an ER nurse. Yep. And then I planned to just join this team, race as much as possible. And my goal was to become a professional after showing that I could prove myself.
So your undergrad was in nursing?
Undergrad was in nursing, and I worked as a nurse for 6 years, about 5 years before I moved to California. Okay. And then my job leaving in Baltimore was as an ER nurse. And then I quit that job and became an ER nurse in California, which, by the way, is way easier than working in Baltimore. Yeah. Sure. So I worked 2 or 3 shifts a week in California while I trained full-time with, working with my coach remotely. And then happened to do really well there, even though all the racing was much, much harder than it was in Maryland. It was longer, it was more intense, it was hillier.
West Coast hills are a little different than East Coast hills.
Yeah. And the team was really supportive. I mean, the director of the team drove me to a bunch of races, and we chit-chatted about strategy a lot, and I learned a ton in that season. So this was 2013. And then I would show up on these group rides where I knew that the owner of one of the local teams was. And I think she realized I had a lot of passion for the sport, and I was relatively new still. I had been racing for 5 years at that time, but in pro cycling land, that's not very long. So.
That's not, and for any professional sport, you think it's, the level of skill set.
You need 10 years. Yeah, decades, yeah. Right. So, and I had only been racing for 5 years.
But you got a crew background.
I was a rower, and prior to that, I played soccer and basketball, lacrosse, and did all these other things.
A strong aerobic background.
Yeah, strong aerobic backgrounds and musculoskeletal with rowing, and then cycling, it just kind of all came together. Yeah. So, fortunately, Linda Jackson, the owner of Team Tipco, let me join a team as a non-paid pro athlete, but I was there to learn and to do as best I can. And so from that experience, I just gained a ton of knowledge, and I raced 70 times, I think, with that team. And then the following year, similarly, I raced a ton. And looking back, I probably raced too much and burnt myself out. And I didn't know that at the time, because you just do what you're told.
That's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about as far as so 2013, you have a medical background. Mm-hmm. Did that help you as an athlete, understanding the body a little bit? I know there's health and there's performance and there's overlapping, but I've learned there's a lot of things that are the opposite. High performance does not equal high health.
No.
So
I would say that pro athletes are less healthy than the average.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I was having this conversation yesterday with a client. I was excited to be done with my ultra marathon season here that I'm in, because it takes a toll. It's not healthy as far as the consumption of types of food, moving types of food.
Performance foods are not healthy.
No,
foods.
They're not.
They're meant to fuel muscles and performance, but they're not meant to be healthy for your gut.
Specifically your gut.
Or long-term health,
specifically
for that matter.
Your gut. Yeah. But was this something for you, with a medical background, how did you navigate health and performance and obviously you said you raced 72 times, or did you just go all in? It's kind of thought.
Yeah, I really didn't think about that, actually. I just felt all right, I'm an athlete, and so if you go back to that time, so I raced bikes from 2009 to the time I became a pro, which was 2013 or 2014 was my first year racing as a pro. And in that time, we didn't really know much about how to fuel.
No.
We were still telling pro cyclists in Europe that they should probably have a gel per hour. We now know that you probably need more than 5 gels per hour.
Every 20 minutes.
Or whatever. Yeah, exactly. I was racing without fuel for my entire career at cycling. And in rowing too, by the way. I would show up to almost every single rowing practice without breakfast. Every single time. Because no one in my team or my coach at the time knew how important it was. And I always thought to myself, I'm not hungry, so like, why don't I eat this? But now we know, like, your body needs fuel in order to go. This is such a simple concept, but we didn't know.
I know. That was when I was doing what little prep I did for this. I'm like, man, that's like sports nutrition today, 2025, is still evolving and still trial and error, but more, especially the last like 3 years. Especially like David Roche, like 100 grams of carbs an hour. It's insane. And
I never had feel like that.
I know. I'm thinking like,
I always thought it was a lot to have an entire Cliff Bar in the first hour of a race. I'm like, ugh, do I have to eat this? Or if you put drinks, with the Soigneur in our team would say, do you want mix in your drinks? And there were half the team that would say, no, I don't want mix in my drink. And instead they were choosing to have a gel, which they probably never ate, because there's very few moments in a cycling race where you feel like you have time to eat.
Yeah.
And so I would say the majority of my team would race underfueled. No, the whole team would probably race underfueled except for 1 or 2 people.
I can only imagine.
And those 1 or 2 people were long-term athletes, ones who had been to the Olympics, who've, Jo Kizowski being the one I think about. She's a 3-time Olympian from New Zealand. She would say, no, you need to eat more. Here's this gel, here's this whatever. I brought this mix for you. And now I would always accept it if I were still racing. And then I'd be like, I'm good. But it wasn't necessarily because I was trying to restrict. It's just like, I didn't know better.
You just don't know.
Nobody knew.
You don't know what you don't know.
No.
They tasted awful.
They were gross. Like, why would I want that? Sorry, I'm good. Or you had power bars, and if it was a cold race, the power bar would be like a brick, and it would make your jaw hurt. So I don't want that.
Yeah, the kids will never know what it's like to have the whole school gelatin-based power bars. They're just like the floppy.
That's what we would get. You put in your cycling jersey, it warms up a little bit, but not much.
Those are like the first. I just remember having those before like lacrosse practices and stuff, and just like not the best thing.
But even if you zoom out of like general health of athletes, I hurt my back when I was 23, just overtraining. I have a disc injury from the time I was 23. But I never really knew that it was as bad as it was. And so I developed back pain in my racing career. And then I went to a PT once and he was like, your right glute, like just straight up doesn't work. How are you so strong? And I think back like, man, I should have been much stronger in my career. I should have been able to put more watts and to probably have good results back in the day. But I just didn't know any better to go ask for help. And no one ever told me, yeah, you could go to any primary and they'll help you out when it comes to back pain. I didn't know that. Now I know that. And it's one of the main reasons people come to seek care.
Yeah.
But I think you just don't know what you don't know. And that is how I ask questions now. I ask questions that people don't know to ask themselves so that they know there is something you can do for things.
I think that's what makes you super unique is you have the athletic background. I know you like to work with athletes or active people, but even if you're not an athlete, like having the, we call it bar equity, like a trainer who actually works out, right? Like if your trainer doesn't work out, like what's their bar equity? How do they know where a squat should feel like in the bottom? Or how do they know how to wedge on a deadlift or these different cues on like bench pressing and shoulder stuff? Like it just, you don't have any bar equity. Like you have the real life equity as an active person.
I pushed a lot of limits.
Like a very active, who's done like everything. Same for like training underfuel to training fuel to now you can be like a parent, like seeing both sides of, I'll say all sides of the coin. It's something that is, I think, maybe less common because I mean, obviously like medical school is more than a full-time job.
Well, all schooling is so hard, and then you go into practice and you're like trying to manage this big curve of knowledge you have to take on and also be there for your patients and take care of all the follow-up and everything else that's involved. But that to any pro athlete, like taking on an extra hard job feels natural because you're just so used to doing a lot of hard things that if you had a boring job, you'd be like, the real world is terrible. I should probably just go back to
imagine if you were an accountant.
I'd be a terrible accountant. Ask my husband about that. Yeah.
But it's like, hey, we need you to sit here and crunch these books.
Here we go. Perfect example. I left Baltimore with $8,000 thinking that I would survive a long time in California. I didn't survive very long. Although I did. I mean, I'm still here today. But let's be real, I was really poor.
Blind confidence, I think, is one of the most powerful things someone can have.
I thought I was good.
Yeah. I mean, but that's what you need. Like, if you think you're good, you're good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you'll make it work. But if you're like, I don't know, well, you'll figure out you probably don't know.
There's this whole other spectrum that has nothing to do with primary care or my life right now, but female athletes don't make money. I mean, they do now. If you're at your high level in sport, pro athletes in the female athletics make a Caitlin Clark obviously making like a ton of money. That girl worked for that. And so I was like, I hope she is a multi-millionaire because she deserves it. But the general female athlete does not make any money. So you're finding yourself working extra shifts or living with people you'd rather not live with sometimes, like partners you realize maybe they are not good for you, but you need their support. So whatever, you deal with it. I had such fortunate luck in California. This awesome guy named Don let me live in his apartment with him. He was in his 60s. He was single. He had an extra room, and he let me live there for free for 5 months because I couldn't afford rent. But he knew a friend of mine from Maryland, and he was so lovely. He said, if you cook for me, I'll let you live there. And I was like, let's go.
So fair.
And how would I do it otherwise?
Yeah.
I couldn't afford rent. And so anyways, I did this. Other female athletes find themselves living with their parents in their basements, or they just live with a bunch of people to afford it until they finally make it, which could be 5-6 years. And you're slumming it. And it's not a luxury world. Not to mention, coaches are expensive, trainers are expensive, food is expensive. It's not a glorious lifestyle.
Like everything, like fitting.
Yeah, you're traveling with your team, you're buying stuff in different countries. Like the team usually supports you if you're traveling with your professional team. But I mean, not always. You're still paying your rent and stuff on your own. So it's not as luxurious as people think. You can watch a Lindsey Vonn documentary and think that every female athlete has this glorious lifestyle, but let me tell you, it is not like that.
Lindsey Vonn, right? But how many
racers
are there?
Exactly.
Like, if you look at the top 10, like there's one Lindsey Vonn.
Yeah. And she deserves it.
Yeah.
Good for her. She should be well supported. Yeah, it's like if you're Michaela Schifrin, great, you got a sweet house, and big salary, but like she deserves that, and she's worked really hard to get there.
Yeah.
And that's the piece that a lot of people don't see is like what it takes to get to that level where you finally have sponsors who are appropriately supporting you. That could be a decade of slumming it hardcore.
Now, do you have with sponsors? Is it the team working with sponsors, or do the individual athletes in the team get their opportunities?
It depends on the team, and sometimes you might get a sponsor offer as an individual, but the team will allow you to have it because they have another sponsor who is in a similar field. So it depends. Yeah.
Fun.
It depends.
Fun. So let's fast forward a little bit because you go through medical school.
Mm-hmm. Nurse practitioner school. Yeah, it's a graduate program specifically for primary care. Okay. So it's a little bit more it's a lot more specific than medical school, which is 4 years of generalized training to be a physician. And then you do additional training for your specialty.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is in California?
I did in California. Yeah.
Cal?
Yeah. University of California at San Francisco, or UCSF.
Okay.
Street school.
Timeline, different things. I always say, like, I call you Doc. Like,
that's funny.
You're the doc.
Whatever you want to call me.
You're the doc to me.
You can call me Sarah.
You're always like, nurse practitioner. I'm like, I know what you use. Yeah, okay.
I do stuff. Right.
It's like the letters. And
I don't have an MD behind my name.
Yeah, I'm like, to me, you're the doc.
They have street cred. If you got an MD behind your name,
and you know what? They're still the doc too. They're still the doc. It's all good. But working now as a primary care physician in your practice, I'm just curious, like, how much do you rely on your experience? Like, when you work with an athlete, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much do you rely on your experience? Like, where does it really come into play, or is it like, well, there's still all this medical stuff, or time moves on, and science sometimes evolves, sometimes science just gets validated even more. But just kind of how do you find yourself navigating your personal experiences versus the evolution of medicine, paired with just kind of the evolution of people? I guess is another facet of it as well.
There's so much knowledge out there now that was not there when I was starting out.
Yeah.
If it had been, maybe I would have raced longer and had known more and been less injured in my time racing. So I have a few athletes in my practice who race at a high level or who are training at a high level in the gym. And I think the right question to ask. So if they're coming in you could just use an example of like, I really just feel like there's something wrong with me, like I have fatigue, but yet they're a really healthy 26-year-old that a lot of other people would say, well, you're healthy, you're good. Like, why are you coming here?
Yeah.
And I think the difference that I have compared to folks that do not have an athletic background is I really know how to ask the questions of like, when you are training, how are you feeling yourself before, during, and after those trainings, and really diving into that even before I refer to a sports dietitian. And if they're telling me that they're not eating breakfast, I mean, that's a huge red flag for me. Like, especially if you're an elite athlete training 6 days a week, like there's no option. You have to eat breakfast. And it also has to be a certain type of breakfast. It can't just be a bar. That's not enough. Yeah. And then asking questions about team dynamics is something that most PCPs wouldn't think to ask, but it only takes one person with a disordered eating behavior on a team to make a domino effect within the team. And even at the highest level, I mean, I race on the World Cup level, and the UCI level in cycling has disordered eating rampant throughout it. And you'd think that people at that level would be treating their bodies with more respect, but it's not. So I think even at the D1 level and the elite level, World Cup level, whatever it is, you always have to be asking questions about culture. Yeah. What is it like? It is also, and is your coach supporting your training? Are they asking you the right questions? Like, for women particularly, are you getting your regular menstrual cycle? If the answer is no, then there needs to be a workup. There needs to be a lab workup and just further questioning to make sure this is not something we're worried about. So I have a few male athletes that race on a high level, but mostly female athletes that come to me asking these questions, and they're saying like, you here for my physical, and it's up to me to really drill that in.
Yeah.
And I guess from a different perspective, we have a lot of teen athletes too. And I know from being a teen athlete, you don't know what to ask. You barely know your body.
You know nothing. And I could say, as a parent of an eventual teenage daughter, like, I know nothing.
Yeah. And so my job is to teach them. Yeah. And that's primarily my job. And if you don't know how to teach an athlete, like, the best thing to ask is, okay, how are you preparing for your practices? What does your food look like during, before, after? Food is a lot of it, right? And then also, are you stretching? Are you recovering well? If you don't stretch, recover well, or have this training that is appropriate for your age group, then you're gonna get injured straight up. And then if you're injured, you're less likely to be able to do the sport you love. And then you're isolated from your friends who also do the sport you love. And it's a bad trajectory, right? Maybe then you don't play in college like you wanted to, or you don't play when you're out of college because you got injured while you're there. And that's just not fun. Like, we want athletes to be doing the sport they love forever until they can't anymore. And that's my ultimate goal, to keep you healthy. So not just are you performing your best while you're able to train and race, but much longer than that time too. Maybe pick up a different sport in your 80s. Who cares? Do it. You should.
Yeah. That's never true. We were just talking about this. Yeah. We won't name drop, but we were just talking about this. Mm-hmm. You at any age. It's more important, I think, at the later stages of your life to still be physically active in something.
That buzzword, longevity, that's comes up a lot in my practice, because that is prevention and preventative medicine. And primary care literally means prevention. So that's what we're talking about a lot, from ages 12 all the way up to people in their 80s.
Is there something people misconstrue with that? Like, with the idea of longevity? Like, they think it's promoting longevity, and it's maybe either, I don't want to say counterproductive, but it maybe doesn't move the needle as much as people think.
You mean with
just, if I come in, I'm like, just in anything in health, right? Like, like, why do you do this? Oh, I'm really focusing on longevity, and then I sleep 6 hours a night. Yeah. Like, cause that's the kind of stuff that I see. People are like, I want to live healthy and long, but why are you staying up till 1 a.m?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, there's that's just stuff that I can see, but you probably see deeper.
I see a lot of cognitive dissonance in people where they say, I am exhausted and then I'm going to go train for 2 hours today. In the same day, they just told me they are exhausted. And I asked them, so would it be possible to rest today? And usually the answer is no. And I'm like, wrong answer. You have to know when to rest. And I know that I was a terrible rester. And I think most pro athletes are. We are trained to work. That is,
most athletes are pretty trash at rest.
We're terrible. And at the highest level, they are terrible. And the ones who make it the longest and who get to the Michaela Schifrin level, like, they are the ones who figured it out way sooner than the rest of us. Because otherwise you burn your body, you get exhausted physically and mentally, and you just give up. You're like, I could probably go do other things that are way easier right now. And you do.
Yeah. I mean, you hear like LeBron James, right? He's like the most popular. Mm-hmm. He spends over $1 million on his body every year wrestler. Or he plays 22 in the league or whatever it is. Like, there's no doubt about that. Versus guys that you hear that don't take care of their body and they're out of the league and do contracts.
Yep.
Something like that.
It's my job to remind athletes particularly who are, again, like, programmed to work. That is what they love to do. It is my job to remind them that you are not allowed to work every day. You can't, actually. If you want to survive in this game that you're playing, then you need to rest and you need to turn it off and figure out how do you do that. And that is not the same for everybody. It could look like reading books for some people, which I wish I had done more, because every day I look and I've got 3 books. Even now, I'm like, I have 3 books in my nightstand at any given moment, maybe 6. And am I reading them? No. So I'm still terrible at resting, but I really want my athletes to be resting.
Well, dude, yeah. We won't talk about do as I say, not as I
really try. I really try.
We won't talk about that.
Yeah.
So we touched on it a little bit, the idea of high performance and health, or high health, whatever. Maybe we can brainstorm a couple things that you see that are okay for those achieving high performance, but wouldn't be okay for those that are just trying to achieve high health without the crazy athletic endeavors that they may be pursuing. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I know for me, like, there's days where I'm like 5,000 milligrams of sodium. Like, that's just
so much.
That's not okay. It's not okay. I know it's not okay. But if you're going to go do a 2.5 hour workout run that has you at 75 minutes of threshold and you're losing 5 liters of sweat and 2,000 milligrams of sodium per hour.
Those are crazy numbers, Casey.
I had to test. Those are real numbers, too. Those are real numbers. Those are tested numbers. But 5,000 milligrams of sodium, not healthy.
Not healthy for the average 60-year-old guy.
Right.
Or even 4-year-old guy who's not working out.
Not healthy for anyone.
They're going to be really small.
Yeah, like, not healthy. It's just you're like, I'm a blimp. Like, it's...
Yeah.
But it all normalizes at the end, right? But are there things that you, and I totally put you on the spot with this, so you can brainstorm that as needed, but this idea of high health, high performance, it's okay for performance, but probably not okay for health, but people don't know.
Yeah, I think that the open knowledge that we have via AI and podcasts that are just available and free for anybody to listen to don't always relate to the average person who's going to the gym 3 times a week, which is great. We want you to do that. That is different than the athlete who is training 6 days a week at very, very high levels.
Year round.
Yeah, year round, or at least 11 months of the year. Hopefully they all take 1 month off each year, minimum. So when you think about high performance, you think of different fueling strategies and different timing in which you're, how long are you training? And so it's not right for the weekend warrior to expect themselves to go for a 4-hour ride or a 4-hour run or whatever they're trying to do. 3 hours in the gym, but yet they're sitting and doing nothing Monday through Friday. Like, that is not healthy to do. You're going to hurt yourself. And if you're not hurting yourself, you eventually will. It's going to happen. Yeah. And so I think the best way to coach somebody on that is to take it from where they are right now. Like, if you are a person that's going to the gym 3 days a week, you feel generally well. Okay, well, let's gradually get you to a place where you can feel even better if you're and going by what their goals are. So if they plan to go 4 days a week or implement running or some other activity, then it's all about doing it gradually and periodization of that new thing. So not all of a sudden, I'm going to become an ultra runner and just do it overnight. Like that's not what I would.
What if you take 9 months to do it?
If you take 9 months to do it, that's so much better. And you did it well. Yeah. And you realize that your expectations are set appropriately.
Yeah.
You're not going to go win the ultra marathon having only had 9 months of experience. Yes.
What if you should tell people you're going to win?
Yeah. And so if someone's in the gym 3 days a week, what I do is try to coach them on how to fuel and recover each of those days. And then if they add more days, okay, now we're looking at it a larger perspective. Now we need to be noticing every 3 weeks, now you need a 4th week where it's more of a recovery week. And it's a bigger conversation around that. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's hard to explain, but
I understand that.
now we're talking about other concepts that were not relevant before, but are relevant now.
Yeah.
So I think the level of conversation changes depending on someone's activity levels. And then is it worth talking about creatine for someone who's in the gym once a week? No. Nobody. If you're in the gym once a week, you don't need creatine. Like, that's crazy.
It's hot right now.
Yeah, it's hot. Maybe it will be helpful for you. But you got other fish
There's
to fry
other
right
things
now.
to do.
Yes.
We're talking about, it's,
yes.
We hear this.
Let's
this is
get
so
you in the
good
gym
for
more
me.
than once a week first,
Yeah.
before we talk about buying supplements.
Exactly. And I think that's a big piece
It's
with
stepwise
all
is the word
things
I'm
in health,
listening for.
right?
Yeah.
Like we hear this. I get that. Tell me about creatine. Say, well, okay, cool. Like creatine helps with this and this. Could it be beneficial for you? Maybe. Is it going to be better than trying to get 7 hours of sleep 7 nights a week? No.
Absolutely
right? You
not.
should do the sleep. The sleep is going to be more important. Is it going to be more impactful than if you actually hit your allotted protein goal?
Mm-hmm.
Hit the protein goal, right? So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, and this is
Let's
how
start
we're
with the basics.
but the basics get so glossed over with the accessibility of podcasts, of media, of
the hot item, right?
yeah, of like so-and-so does it.
Getting the 1,000 laps from functional health. Like, is that relevant for the average person?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just not.
It's not. The average person needs so little to move the needle. But
And
they're
if you
focused on
want-
the high-end, finite little things.
The little things
How many
that
grams
are
of protein do I need? Well, you need 7 hours of sleep.
Yes.
You really need more, but let's be realistic. Like
Yeah.
you need to take 5.5 to 7.
And
right?
I always like to remind people of, so my take on supplements is if they generally help you and you feel okay with them, okay, that's fine. And they're not breaking your bank. Sure, go ahead and take them. But let's talk about what is free first. Sleep is generally free, usually, unless you're hiring a babysitter in order to sleep.
Yeah.
It's free. And why not do that thing first? Come on. And as somebody who's been like a poor athlete in the past, I'm like, how can I optimize health in very inexpensive ways? Sleep isn't one.
Sleep is the easiest one.
Yeah, and protein is not cheap depending on what you're eating for protein, but let's be real. You can buy protein shakes relatively cheap, and especially if you're making them on your own and not buying them prepackaged. So let's start with those things first, and then we can talk about all the other things that could help you as you progress in your performance.
Yeah, I had a conversation with
performance gains.
I had a conversation with a client this past summer, and this gentleman was working out 3 times a week. He was like, "No, I really think I can do 4," and I was like, "Cool. Let's actually switch away from that and take the time that you would do the 4th workout. I would much rather you hit 7,000 steps a day." This gentleman was like, "Three on his job, stationary, pretty stationary throughout the day. I'm like, let's get that at 7,000 steps. Even if it's just that one day, you're like, into that 4th workout, go get 4,000 steps in an hour.
Yeah.
And let's start with that. Let's improve your sleep quality. And we're going to do that by giving yourself movement early in the day." He looked at me like I had 7 heads. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, the impact of the 4th workout is going to be not as great as the impact of things you can do every day, right? Impacting 1 of the 7 days isn't going to be as beneficial as impacting 7 of the 7 days.
The total time you're moving during the day makes all the difference.
Huge difference.
Yes.
Especially in sleep.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
absolutely. I mean, and I think about it that way. I ask people total time during the day, or how much are you moving? And they sometimes don't know, but you have to remember, you might walk 10 minutes to the store. You might walk 10 minutes to and from dropping your kid off at school or whatever it is. Like, that all makes a big difference. Do you have 3 sets of steps in your house that you go up multiple times a day? Do you take your own laundry down to the basement? All those things count. Do you have 2 kids that are lifting up and down every single day? All that matters in the game of life. So, like, being as active as possible in your everyday or activities of daily living, how we name them in medicine, that all matters a lot. Yeah. What was it? Oh, I was also going to say how I think of exercise in many different ways. There's strength, there's range of motion and flexibility, and there's endurance. And all 3 of those things need to be hit really well to be a high-functioning, high-performance athlete. You can't just be good at one of those things.
Maybe future seminar at Mid-Health.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I actually have in my female athlete templates that I use to talk to my athletes, reminders to ask about their strength training, to ask about their flexibility and range of motion, and to ask about their endurance. And if you can't do all those things, then you are just missing the mark. So,
yeah. What is something that you wish people would ask you more when you meet with them on just like a typical like PCP visit? Like, man, I wish people either understood this more or were more inquisitive about this more. Is there something?
It's a really good one.
Hey, I sound 97 Oprah. 97 Oprah coming in with the hard-hitting questions.
Gosh, what I wish they would ask more.
I say that because we have, coaches that watch this for their own health, like parents that watch this, have kids, maybe kids watch this, I don't know, but like they go to the doctor and they're just so used to saying, I sit there and the doctor just takes me through the stuff and then I leave and I'm either told that I suck or I'm good. Right? Like that's really it. Like you go, I need to improve on this, improve on this. It's
that's
like
a terrible experience.
It's like that's my experience whenever I go to the dentist. Like I go to the dentist and I hate it because they're like, do you floss? Like I brush my teeth and I do all this stuff. No, like inevitably every time I go, you just get berated because it's never good enough. And I feel like in doctor's visits as myself, like we talked about this, like 5'8", 180 pounds. My BMI is always going to be high. And I had a doctor through my 20s that was like, oh, BMI is like, here's your nutrition packet. I'm like, so you go, you're like beaten down. Like, so I go because I know it's good for me. So I go to the doctor.
Sorry to anyone who's
this
had this experience.
It's trash. But so I asked that because, I want people to be like, yeah, like take an interest in their health, right? Like don't take it for granted, take an interest in it. And when you go see your primary care physician, which hopefully everyone has the opportunity to do every year, but what are some things like you just wish people were more inquisitive about, or at least would spark the conversation with make their doctor work for it, right? Like I love that. Make them work for it.
Yeah.
I make Sara Headley work for it when I walk in there.
No, you don't.
I want to though. Yeah. I want to.
I love when people bring journal articles or podcasts they want my opinion on.
Love that. Yes.
That never happened in my last practice, and it happens quite often here. So that's pretty cool.
Love that.
People are coming well educated.
Did you get sent the Consumer Report protein-led article? How many times?
I read it. Yeah.
I got 8.
I didn't.
Like
nobody sent
hours.
it to me. Nobody sent it to me. Wow.
8, and I was like,
wow. Yeah, for people who have a lot of protein shakes, it's pretty scary data coming out, but also take it with a grain of salt because not every single protein shake was affected by the lead counts, but whey protein is probably the safest based on the report.
Right?
Yeah, we know. That's what I have in my closet over there, so that's how I use it.
I noticed because I provide chocolate fuel in shout out chocolate fuel in purposeful strength, and they spelled it wrong. I said Jacko.
Oh.
I was like, oh man, bummer. I got by the editor.
And
they tested well. Love that.
Good.
Yeah.
You don't need to do a lab test on these.
Basically, as long as
you're not lead filled.
That tough day to be a vegan when that article came out. But so
true.
Because
the question that I don't really know the answer to that. I think I wish. I don't know. I wish that people had more experience asking questions to their provider because
it's a very meta answer.
It's very meta. Most people are afraid to, people come in for their physical. They're generally afraid to ask questions because they might get a different bill, right? They might get a bill they weren't ready for. Yeah. So the physical per insurance is a preventative visit. So if you as a consumer of health or a patient is asking something that is now a problem, then a lot of practices will charge you an additional rate because it was now a problem visit as well. And I think from talking to many patients of mine, they're afraid to ask questions right after
I
running.
didn't know that.
Just as an FYI, I don't charge extra for like the random questions you ask during your physical, unless it is requiring a massive workup.
Well, yeah, unless it
yeah.
requires extra stuff.
Yeah, if it
right?
requires a referral and labs and all this other stuff, then I will tell you, like, hey, this is now bridging in the gap of like now a problem visit and
That's
not just
I never thought of that. I didn't know that.
There's all kinds of papers in many doctors' offices that will say the physical can only be the preventative discussion, not a problem. So don't bring a problem to us, because or else we'll charge you extra. Yeah, I do.
I kind of feel that.
So I wish
sometimes.
people had. I wish they prepared with questions that they were curious about, because I may not know the answer, but I could probably look it up in a well-researched platform, like up to date. We use that all the time. Open Evidence AI is an amazing resource that I don't use as often as I should.
You could do a whole episode on AI in practice.
You could.
We might. Or that would be part 2.
You have to have a national provider identification number, NPI number, to have access to Open AI or Open Evidence AI. But you could put something in there. For example, I have a
36.
I have a 36-year-old male who's asking me about whether or not I need to draw a lipoprotein little a on him. What should I tell this person? And then Open Evidence AI will give you all the feedback I should give you as a patient. And so I know the answer to that, so I wouldn't ask at Open Evidence AI for that. But say it's something random, like a patient of mine had their copper levels drawn at their hematologist and now they're low. What do I say to them? What is the treatment for low copper? Why do I care about low copper? And then Open Evidence AI will tell you what it thinks based on all the journal articles that it then references for you. Yeah. So it's awesome.
AI for aggregating information is very underappreciated.
Yeah, because if I were to go look that up in PubMed or other journal articles that I pay for,
speeds it up.
I'll spend 20 minutes looking it up.
I use AI, so every month in Parisi All Access, shameless plug, we do 2 research reviews, and I use AI to help aggregate the information, especially on like a 19-page meta review. Wow. Like I just looked at one this past month it was a meta review. It was 37 pages and it looked at like 17 studies comparing uphill and downhill running to like 5 different types of resistance sprinting. And it compared 5 different types of resistance sprinting to the benefits and outcomes of uphill and downhill running. Ooh, like do you need to add resistance or can you just run?
So what's the answer?
The answer is it depends, but
always.
That's why it's important to have AI, because it's like, well, it depends on the grade. It depends on like if it's probably a band versus like a sled, if it's a posterior load or an anterior load. But so it really wasn't that useful of a review because it just showed.
But you had access to it.
It basically validated that uphill running for acceleration, if you don't have access to resistance, is a great tool.
Cool. Right. So I can go run on the 1 mile uphill.
You should find like 10 to 15% grade and just road sprints. Absolutely.
You know what you were talking about earlier? I will. And by the way, Casey is my personal trainer.
I know.
But full caveat, I told him, look, I'm not your typical mom asking for personal training. No. I just need to build back the muscle I lost postpartum, because I lost 7 pounds of muscle postpartum. And I was like, this is unacceptable. And so, I don't know, I've worked with you since May of last year, so 18 months. And I feel like I've made some big gains. And I don't even do half the stuff that you tell me to do.
Chin-up numbers are up, pushing it.
I never used to be able to do a chin-up. And now I can do 5. It's great. Maybe more after this winter.
Maybe, you know what, the 7 pounds of muscle just came back a different way.
And if you asked me if I was ever going to race again last year, I'd say, yeah, I'm good. But I just entered a running race that I'm going to do next Saturday. It's a running race, too. I haven't done a running race since I was 22.
And it's going to be...
And it was awful. I hated it.
It's going to be hilly.
Yeah, I heard.
It's going to be real hilly. It's Vermont, so it's always hilly.
And it's in Stowe. It's a mountain town. You know it's going to be hilly.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be hilly.
Look, I take hills and I eat them for breakfast.
I think you said already, war of attrition, cold, hilly. I mean, that is...
November 1st in Vermont.
That's what you're doing. That's literally the...
And then my question is, what am I wearing? I don't even know. I think I'm going to wear a big old loose cotton sweatshirt that I throw onto the side after I get heated up, and then I'm warmed up, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I get really stoked about big cotton sweatshirts. Am I like from the 80s or something? But
No,
those just keep me warm.
oversized. Yeah, super
Keep me warm.
oversized.
They have air flowing underneath of them. I feel sort of on trend because my stuff is like bigger than me, and it feels like
You can move.
loose, and I'm rad now or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's
I'm
on
like,
brand.
What do I even wear to a running race? Don't know. I'm used to spandex.
I just need to see if it's going to be wet or not. That's really it. I feel like in Vermont, in the Northeast, just in general, it's like, is it going to be wet or is it going to be not wet?
Mm.
I can't even say dry. Just, is it going to be raining? And if it's not raining, you just worry about everything else. It's
Okay.
fine, right? But if it's wet, then you got to kind of think about it. Because wet and cold is very different than just cold.
Okay.
You,
But from experience, I know that I can suck it up for an hour doing anything.
Yeah.
So I'll just, if it's really, really freezing, it's only an hour. Well, maybe probably like an hour 15. It's a 10-mile race, so I'm hoping we can do 8 miles.
with some elevate roll. Like, I love the course descriptions in Vermont because they're like this beautiful rolling hill course. I'm like, there's 1,200 feet of elevation gain on this. Like, what are you talking
That's
about?
a lot.
Rolling
Well,
course.
Knowing my cycling background, I'm going over there to check the course out
For sure.
tomorrow. Actually,
Definitely should.
I'm going tomorrow because I want to make sure that this course is something I'm prepared for.
Well, you also, there's like a difference
Course
between
recon
dirt
is
road,
very important.
bike path.
Don't we know that now, PC,
Yeah.
after your last enduro? Or your ultra? Course recon is everything. At least then I can be mentally prepared for whatever is coming for me.
The one thing, if I could change, I would have gone and ran the course in July or something.
Yeah.
I would have done it.
Yeah.
Before the first day.
And the other thing that comes with being a midlife athlete is that you are smarter now. So you know that course recon is important, recovering and sleeping is important. You're just better at taking care of yourself than you were when you were 24.
Because you know what happens if you don't.
Yeah. And then your kids are up at 5 a.m. that day.
They
And
don't
you're like,
care.
no, my life.
Yeah, they don't, like, that's,
They don't care that you were running 12
I
hours.
tell people, like, they're like, you drove yourself home from an ultra. I was like, yeah, like, listen, my wife, my kid, they're happy I did it. They still want me home before bedtime.
Mhm.
Like, my wife said, your daughter's not going to go to sleep until you come home, so keep dressed.
Yeah, exactly. I have a lot of midlife women that come and they're telling me I want to, work out more. I want to be more fit like I used to. And most of these women are moms. And I say, there's no better person equipped to start now because you've already been a mom. That is the hardest job of all time. So a gym is going to be fun for you. Whatever. That will not even come close to getting up at 2 a.m. to change a diaper. Let's just do the thing that it supports your health. And you're already prepared. You've done the hard work already. Now it's time to do the fun stuff, which is like take care of yourself. So
Yeah.
being at Threshold for 20 minutes for me is fun.
That's
I'm like,
great.
whatever,
Feel
let's
alive.
go. Yes!
Feel alive.
Like, yes!
It still works.
Freedom! Let's go!
I've always said there's no one that works harder at the gym than the 27 to 35-year-old first-time parent. Moms
you have a
especially.
limited time.
Dads can get it done too, but the 27 to 35-year-old first-time mom is the best training client, works the hardest, prioritizes it,
Well,
values
they know they
the
have,
time.
they have 60 minutes exactly with babysitters.
Yeah, like prompt, and they're the easiest to train too because they know exactly, like you say, like, I need a 20-minute workout. It can't be more.
Yeah.
And it better not be less. Like, if I
And
get
we like
done
to check
faster,
it off
it's
too.
okay. Yeah.
All right, sweet, I did it.
Yeah.
Done. Next.
That's
how your
same
life
thing.
is.
But they're
Yeah.
like, okay, I have 40 minutes before work in the morning after I give my kids a bottle, whatever. Like 40 minutes, that's it. It needs to be quiet. Like kettlebells. like, cool, got you. I've been there, done that.
Yes.
So
Customized.
I can do that. Sara Headley, this was an awesome part one.
What did we even talk about?
All of it. We're gonna do another one. That's gonna be like the midlife athlete. That's gonna be the next one we do.
I love that.
That's what we're gonna do.
And the nurse practitioner that works with me, whose name is also Sarah, is
With an H or no
a
H?
midlife women's health nurse practitioner.
With an H or
So
no
she,
H?
she has an H and I do not.
Okay, there you go. So it's two Sarahs.
Yeah, 2 Sarahs, and she's blonde. So it'll be very specific, like brown, no H, blonde, H.
Are we gonna go double Sarahs?
We could. She's
We
a
definitely could.
really funny person.
We definitely could.
You should get her on this podcast.
We'll do it. I'm in.
She's in.
Cheers.
I already said yes for her.
Yeah.
Look, you get to the middle of us.
Peter Tia's round table's got nothing on the Parisi Podcast round table. at all.
We should
The
do this
midlife
again.
athlete. We'll do it. We'll definitely do it.